Welcome to today's roll call episode. I'm Kenzie Koch with Guardian RFID, and today I'm meeting with Caterina Spinaris, founder and executive director of Desert Waters Correctional Outreach. So welcome, Caterina. We're so happy to have you here today. I'd love to start off by having you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what Desert Waters is.
Well, thank you, Kenzie. It's a delight to be able to join you today. And Desert Waters is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation that is dedicated to improving and advancing the well-being of corrections staff, their families, and also the agencies where they work, the correctional departments and prisons, jails, probation, parole agencies where staff work. And I am the founding director, and I'm also a mental health professional. I'm a licensed professional counselor. So I bring that to the table regarding advancing the well-being of staff.
So it sounds like Desert Waters is pretty committed to enhancing the wellness side of correctional staff.
Yes.
So my question for you is, why do you think that correctional staff wellness is a critical area for administrators to focus on?
Kenzie, in a way, it is mission critical. It's like, to me, at the top of the list, because we know from research of decades long research that correction staff have a tremendous number of challenges that they face on the job. And it's almost like a perfect storm of stressors and of different varieties and different intensities that are relentless and that are ongoing and that are repetitive, that they go on for decades while staff are working in this field. And therefore, we need to be able to plan in advance because we know these things will be happening. And if staff are not equipped and are not prepared to deal with those stressors and their impact, for one thing, their health and well-being will suffer. And secondly, the mission of the agency where they work will not be really fulfilled appropriately, because if the staff are not well, they cannot work well and they cannot meet the expectations of their agency well. So it's kind of like a domino effect. And to me, the staff are the foundation. Agencies talk about staff being their most valuable resource. And truly, we need to protect and equip that most valuable resource and help them also bounce back if they get affected. So that's why our goal is staff wellness, both on the preventative end and also if something needs to be done after somebody has been affected.
And you think in order to protect and equip the staff, what do you think are some key areas that agencies can consider when they're trying to decide on programs or resources for the staff and when in their pursuit for wellness and mental health?
And this is a very good question because this is a relatively new arena for correctional administrators, and it's complex because no matter where you work in even non-corrections agencies, it's a complicated issue. What does one address? And corrections is a specific, unusual workplace because there is, for example, so much exposure to traumatic events and where people's lives may feel threatened. And so people need to take into account the traumatic exposure and how to educate people about it and what to do about it. Not just know about it, but like, okay, what do we do now? And then they have to sort through piles of information about what is research-based, evidence-based, science-based. What do we know works better than other approaches? So we have to select data-driven approaches, and we need to be able to have material that is skills-based. So it's not theory and abstraction. So the administrators have to be able to sort through again and find material that will equip their staff in actionable ways where they can practically do some things that make a difference for the better. And we need to be kind of correction specific so that we don't borrow something from another area that is irrelevant to correction staff. And that applies to training, it applies to resources that people can use. And we want, ideally, as much as possible, prevention-oriented material so that we catch something before it goes bad, so to speak, and equip people ahead of time for the battle ahead, for example. And it's like giving them the armor they need.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a team effort for everything to be successful inside the facility. And when you're talking about correction specific material to help everybody behind the walls, do you think that there are any existing and established tried and true practices that are already in place that have been set to help correctional officers?
Yeah, I'll start with something that has been around quite a while now. Peer support programs and corrections followed the police law enforcement model, and I know a lot of departments that have well-run, well-trained peer supporter teams, and that's a huge thing where they speak the same language. And in some cases, people can approach a peer supporter that works in another facility if they don't want their own somebody from their own facility that they are too close. And so peer support programs are very important. Employee assistance programs are very helpful if staff trust them regarding confidentiality, and if they have providers that do understand the corrections workplace culture and they can relate, and so that the employee doesn't have to educate them, for 2 or 3 sessions, educating them about what corrections is like. And also, we have the materials like we have developed at Desert Waters that are preventative, skills-based, actionable trainings that are very culture specific to correction staff, including probation and parole, and that are directly relevant to them so that they can embrace them, and they can feel heard and understood, and they can understand what's happening to them and to their workplace when a certain incident occurs. So there are resources at this point, and they're building more. And other places have also critical incident response teams. And again, for all that, what's key is to have good training for those who deliver those services. That's the key. It's not something you just put together overnight. It takes a lot of training and specialized training.
Right. It's absolutely not something that takes overnight to solve a huge problem that's been alive for generations.
Right.
But that does bring me to my next question. How can Desert Waters assist administrators respond to the mandates and requests that are being put in place for those that are looking for help?
I was thinking about that the other day, and I was thinking that really what we do, if we summarize down to one word, it would be the word equip. And if I wanted to put another couple of words there, we come alongside. Desert Waters is dedicated to equipping staff of all levels and all ranks and all types, but especially administrators at this point, to kind of have a roadmap about where do they need to be going regarding staff wellness. And it's also like a recipe for a cake. Like, what will it take to get there? What would be the ingredients of that recipe to be successful? And how do we build a program that will last and also can grow and be modified as needed? Because people will discover things. Like, we assume one thing, we assume certain situations are going on, but they may not, or they may change, and we need to be able to adapt. So staff wellness programs have to be flexible, and they have to be adaptable, and they have to be relevant, and they have to be for all budgets and all sizes of agencies. So that's where we come in and assist with that, to kind of tailor-make, customize a program or series of programs, and also help administrators with the policy development side regarding like, how do we institute that? How do we have now staff wellness as part of our policies, and where do we go from here? And so equipping with that is our goal.
And so in that portion is just talking about equipping, how you're helping the administration side of how administration is going to help their staff. But how does Desert Waters alone help the individual officers?
Yes, and my background is clinical work psychology. I'm a licensed professional counselor, so I've done a lot of one-on-one clinical work with corrections staff and their family members, and that's always very dear to me. I do not do this right now, but We still have informal, anecdotal kind of connections with people as we go around the country training or having people email us or call us. So we provide a lot of material for individuals that they can take without anybody else knowing that they're using those materials. We have little booklets on our website. We have staff stories. We have a professional publication that comes out, educational publication once a month, the Correctional Oasis, that is really a gem. It has a tremendous number of very, very worthwhile articles, and staff can learn from them, can share, and it all helps them become more aware of what's going on, how they're changing, why they're changing, what they can do about it. It helps them lose the sense of shame and embarrassment. Like, it's not that you're weak or broken, it's that you've been affected by something that is really intense and relentless, and kind of understanding what's going on and destigmatizing getting mental health help. That's huge, because when people understand what's going on and how they have changed, they don't have a sense of shame. It's like breaking your leg. You're not going to be all embarrassed for breaking your leg. It's like, oh, that's why my thinking has been changed and become more negative. And so we also have event line email address where people can email us and just unload if they want to. So we try to reach out to staff in addition, of course, to the trainings that we do as we train instructors or do direct delivery of trainings to staff. So this is kind of like a little smorgasbord of different options that they can have, and people can go on our website and look under support, under publishing, trainings, and see what we've got there.
Something that I think that I want to just highlight out of what you said, Caterina, is that correctional officers sometimes forget to be human. And I say that in the sense that they forget that humans have emotions and they have feelings, and it's okay to have those on display. Correctional officers have this history, correctional staff in general have this history of having muscle and grit and power and authority, which are all things that are important to have in corrections, but that doesn't mean that they're not human. So having all these resources that Desert Waters offers, I'm sure, is a very helpful gateway for those people that are seeking help. This is the place to go.
Yeah, and to me, the de-shaming, destigmatizing, like getting rid of that toxic shame that says I shouldn't have been affected, I should not have been bothered by this, or I shouldn't still be haunted by this memory. Like no, if you're not a robot, you're a human being, and yes, on the job you have to keep it together and get the job done, respond to the incident, deal with the conflict, but at the end of the day, we're all human, and all those impacts keep piling up, and people need to have a way to kind of dump and empty the little bucket, because otherwise it will overflow. And we want, I mean, an ideal thing for me would be to see staff like once a month detox, kind of talk to somebody about what bothered them that past month. It may not have been anything to do with the population they manage. It may be an argument with a coworker or a clash with a supervisor that is really disturbing them. And instead of stuffing it all the time, getting to kind of process it and pass the junk through and keep the rest that you can grow from and learn and move on. So we want those interpersonal skills. We want those self-awareness and self-management skills to keep growing in people's arsenal of weapons, so to speak, of how to cope.
Well, Caterina, you've shared so much information today, and mental health is such a heavy topic to unpack. So I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me and talk about this heavy subject. I'm sure anyone who sees this video and hears your message and hears your story and hears the resources that Desert Waters offers will be helpful in their pursuit to bettering their mental health and wellness. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenzie.
If you, the viewers, found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If there's any other subjects that you would like a roll call episode to cover in the future, please leave your ideas in the comments section below. And until next time, get your team home safe.